Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. The gang's all here and we're primed and ready to go. We've been sitting in the pre-show jibber jabbering and talking. So I hope all of y'all are out there in the live stream. We're going to enjoy this tonight because we're going to be talking about 3D printing and 3D printers. So I bought my Ender 3 like 2 years ago, had problems with it, and just put it off to the side. Well, here a while back, Dixon chastised me and said, why don't you just sell that 3D printer to me if you're not going to use it? And so I told him the problems, and he told me, he says, well, if you'll cut up, he said, you see that mirror that you're burning on the laser? And I said, yeah. He goes, if you'll cut a piece of that and stick it on the bed, you won't have any more problems. And use Aquanet hairspray. And so, lo and behold, I leveled the bed, put the mirror on there, used some Aquanet, and I have been off and running and printing ever since. So, yeah. So, you see, if I'd listened to him in the first place, I wouldn't have sit there for 2 years. So, but anyway, also, I've enjoyed it for the last 3 or 4 weeks so much that I've actually purchased a new printer. So, we're going to be talking about that, and I'll show that off in just a little while. Right now, I just want to say hi. James Parker's out there. Brendan, Dan Inge from Dan Inge Woodworking. Moon Pie Creations. Ken Moon's out there.
Ken's out there.
Hobbies Woodshop. Aussie Man.
Hello.
Bill, he's out there. Rick St. Louis. Leonard Davis. Michelle Marcoux. All are out there.
Now,
I appreciate y'all being out there very, 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 very much. I appreciate it. And the only thing that I would ask that you would do is, if you haven't already, subscribe. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe. And then, after you subscribe, hit the bell. If you hit the bell, anytime I have a live show or I post a video, you'll be notified. And the third thing you can do is give me a thumbs up. Yeah, all those things you can do for me, and I would appreciate it very, 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 very much. Before we go any further, my sponsors are Devobel Technologies for web design, development, hosting. Visit devobel.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Rockler, 60 years in woodworking. Create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company, your best choice for hard-to-find woodworking supplies. Go to bearwood.com. Klingspor, the sanding specialist, woodworkingshop.com, and Seiko, the scroll saw specialist, Seiko.com. Those are all my sponsors. Visit them and buy something from them and tell them Russ sent you. So, without any further ado, let's let the panel introduce themselves. Brenda.
Thank you, Russ. I'm Brenda G. Brenda G's Designs. You find me about any place on the internet if you look up Brenda G's Designs. I have a YouTube channel where I do some comedy. I got a bunch of craft videos up, and every Thursday night I do a live stream called Mind Equals Blown with a fellow that you might know by the name of Matt Oz. At 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my channel, Brenda G's Designs. We'd appreciate it if y'all drop in. We try to do a giveaway every week on the show, and we have a lot of fun.
Great. Yeah, I hop in there in the chat every chance I get on their shows on Monday, on Matt's show on Monday and your show on Thursday. This Thursday I won't be there though, because this Thursday, the first Thursday of every month, is our woodworking club meeting, so I won't be there this week.
Well, when you don't show up, we talk about you.
Yeah, I know. I watch the rerun, so I see. All right, Chris.
Hey gang, Chris here at the Old Cranky Workshop. Find me on Facebook and YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's another one in the works now. I know I'll be saying that for about 6 to 8 weeks. So, but we'll get it done. So stand by. That's all I got.
Great. Al.
How me? Wow. caught me off guard. Hey, I'm 4. Anyway, I'm Al Forte. Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop. Kilroy 79763 on Twitch, and there's the name right there. You can find me everywhere as Kilroy 79763. I stream Sundays 2 p.m. Central, and I'm working on a retro cabinet that the software is kind of getting on my nerves. But anyway, great to be here.
Good. Glad to have you. Jim.
Jim Bashir's Driveway Workshop. I'm coming off on self-imposed exile day in the recliner with my baby grandson, and looking forward to talking about something I really have no business talking about, 3D printing.
Great. I know I shouldn't be talking about it either. I don't know as much as most of y'all, but I'm having a good time. That's for sure.
That's
Paul.
what it's all about.
Hey, Russ, before you get started here, Ken Moon just gave you a super chat.
Yep. I was gonna say that too.
Sure did. Thank you very much, Mr. Moon. I appreciate that. Moon Pie Creations, $20. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyway, I'm Paul Willis, Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, Instagram, and here on Saturday night.
Dixon.
Hi, I'm Dixon Hoffman. You can find me at hoffmanscienceandecals.com/3D printing. And the grandkids found out where my cookies are stored.
It's yummy. It's yummy.
Oh, that's neat. That is really, really neat. Yeah, I like that. So yeah,
Now you got to make one that looks like something they don't like. And put the
Yeah,
cookies in
look
there.
at that cookie.
Now, did you design those in Tinkercad?
No, I just made them big. I didn't use Tinkercad.
You know,
can
make
find
that
it-
out of that blue thing you did, and they won't get in your cookies.
Thingiverse.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotta love Thingiverse.
Yeah, actually, I found out the other day I tried to import something on Tinkercad, and it'll only accept files so big. I noticed.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Didn't know
Okay,
that.
so before we get everybody lost or whatever, Tinkercad, if you're wondering what that is, it is an online program for 3D, making 3D objects. So that's what Tinkercad is. It's free. It's really great. I'm learning how to use it. I'm wanting to learn how to use Fusion 360, but that's a little too complicated.
You can do it. Russ.
Tinkercad is on a kindergarten level of Fusion 360, and I'm only a kindergartner, so that I'm using the Tinkercad. So you can make a lot of stuff with it. I've learned. I've been playing around with it, and it's really pretty cool. But yeah, so I got into 3D printing because of some of these guys that are on here, Dixon and Al and Paul, and I think Jim Bashir's too. All those guys. These guys got me interested into 3D printing. So I bought my first little printer. It was an Ender 3. Now, I had some problems with it today. Come to find out, it wasn't the poor little printer's fault. So, hold on just one second.
What was that?
Well, I'm trying to get it to there. Thank you. Sometimes it just don't want to work right.
Happy time zone, Mitchell Loom Knitter. Happy time zones, everyone.
Sometimes things just don't want to work right. I don't understand why. But anyway, I bought the Ender 3, and here is
Did you print one of these?
video of me playing with it today. Okay. Once again, nothing wants to work right.
That's the gecko. I can tell that's the gecko.
Yes, that's the gecko, but it messed up. Why won't this thing play?
Is that glow in the dark, Russ?
No.
Kind of looks like it.
There we go. Finally. No, it's not the glow in dark. It's that roll that I showed you that was messed up.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that green that's messed up. Anyway, it started printing really good. And this thing, since Dixon has taught me how to use it, I'm using the mirror. See that, Dixon? And it has the hairspray on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it does good. I've only had like one failed print, and I don't know why, but I cleaned off the bed and tried it again, and it printed perfect the second time. So every once in a while, you're going to have a failed print. See his right foot down here at the bottom? That is going to be where the accident happens for some reason. It doesn't actually pull it up. I thought it pulled it up, but it is stuck really well. What happens is, and I'll tell you in just a minute, we're just going to watch it, but this little machine is a cool little machine. Since I've learned how to use it and learned how to use it right, I have printed a bunch of stuff on it. And like I said, I only had one failed. This will make the second failed project. But this project, the reason it failed was not the printer's fault, and it wasn't my fault. It was actually the filament's fault. So
Did the filament break on you?
No, it's the roll's twisted.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so it wouldn't pull the filament out. Yeah.
You know, it does have a pause where you can pause your print.
Yes, but it already messed it up so bad.
Oh, okay.
It was no use in salvaging it. Yeah, it was no use in salvaging. But this thing does really good. I mean, I've been very. I bought it. I had problems with it in the very beginning. It would print once and then couldn't get it to print again. Then it'd print. You know, it was sporadic. Since I listened to Dixon and used the mirror and the hairspray, it sticks every time. Matter of fact, it's kind of hard to get the pieces off. It's stuck so well, but it does really, really, really good. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to see if it shows this part where it fails. I don't think it got that far.
When I started printing all these octopies out for everybody, those first few layers were really tough to keep stuck down. Some of these I'd have to start over 2 or 3 times.
I don't have any problems anymore now that I'm using the mirror with the hairspray.
Yeah, I had to do that.
Yeah, it sticks good. Now, what happened?
It's funny you say that, because that's actually why I got the mirror, is just to make sure I had a perfectly flat, piece of a table to work off of. And I haven't had a problem since I did that.
No, Al, this is the filament, and it was the filament's fault. You can see it.
Yes. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I didn't pay any attention to it, and what was happening was the reason it was failing it was quitting to print. It was quit printing, and then when it started printing back, it started. I don't know what happened, but it caused it to fail, and then how I noticed it, I was sitting there and I heard the element kind of like make a little popping noise, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I looked up, and I could tell the roll was like struggling to move, so I stopped the printer. The thing had already failed anyway, and I began to pull on the roll. I got about 16 inches, maybe 24 inches off of this, and it totally locked up. It's buried so bad in there. I mean, I can't force it off. I'm pulling as hard as I can. So, yeah, this is going back to Amazon. It's Inland Printer Filament, INLAND. I've used it before, and I've never had a problem with it, but this roll gave me a problem. Like I said, it couldn't pull the filament, and I think, Jim, didn't you say that you had a problem with one that the rolls were on a shelf and it pulled the printer up to the shelf?
Yeah. I was going to say, we were talking about that before the show, and it was some Amazon filament, whoever makes it for him, but my printer, the extruder wheels pulled the printer up off of the desk and up onto the wall where I had all the spools stored at. Couldn't believe it.
That's a damn good extruder right there, buddy.
It is. Talk about some tension.
You got no pictures?
CR10, man.
Yeah.
No pictures, though, man. No pictures.
Yeah, no pictures. You didn't take any pictures.
No pictures.
Well, if you're interested in getting into the 3D world, it's really not that hard to get into it, and it's not as expensive as what now the printer. What is an Ender 3 running now? $300.
Yeah, you can get it for
Yeah.
280, 250.
So for $300, you can buy the printer, and then most of your rolls of filament are only like $20 on Amazon. Like this was only $19.99 on Amazon. So, and the only reason I used Inland again was because I had success with the first 2 rolls, and it gave me no problem. So I decided to order it, but this roll is all screwed up. So I already called Amazon. They're ready. They're going to send me another roll out tomorrow, which I think is fantastic. I couldn't believe it. They're going to have a UPS drop me off a roll tomorrow and pick this one up. So I'm like, wow, that's service right there, buddy.
It's coming FedEx probably.
Yeah.
That noise that you heard is your extruder right here popping on that gear
Yeah.
Yeah.
when it got tangled up.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
Russ, you got a comment or a question out in the chat. It says random scheduling question. Are we doing a project submissions next week or some other time?
I think I kind of answered that. I told them
Oh, did you?
we weren't doing that tonight, but to send some pics over to Russ, and we were talking.
Yeah,
about
we're
doing
going to do
once
that
a month,
again.
so-
I haven't scheduled a chance. I haven't scheduled a show to do it on as of yet, but we're going to do it again. And if you want to go ahead and send me the pictures and don't want to wait around, where's it at? It's over here. Go ahead and send the pictures to contest@simplywoodencreations.com.
that's probably not a bad idea. Then when you get enough of them, we can schedule.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If people
we don't
want to
wanna
go
do
ahead
it
and
once
start
a
sending
month.
them.
Send what
Yeah.
you got.
But yes, we can do that again, and we'll do another prize giveaway like we did last time.
That's contest@simplywoodencreations.com.
.com. Yep.
Send
your
your
pics.
photos. Send your project photos.
Alex says he just didn't want to make. He just wanted to make sure he didn't accidentally miss the week. Now we'll be announcing it. We'll be announcing it. So, but you can go ahead and send your pictures in. That way, like Jim said, when I get enough pictures, people want to start sending them in.
Open invitation.
It'll be fine. So, so the Ender 3, which is like $289, actually, I did some research even after people told me that it was a good printer. I did some research, and actually it is, for in its price range, it is actually one of the best in its price range. Does a real good job, and so it's rated way up there. So you're looking at $300 plus a couple of rolls of filament will get you started. So is that the Ender 3 there?
Yes, I'm going to switch cameras here and
Yeah.
take a little time, but this is your Ender 3.
Yeah, talk about it a little bit, Dixon.
This is, if you're going to start out, this is one of the simplest ones to start out with. There it is on the screen. There's quite a delay on mine. I have LEDs up here, which everything shines on. You see it real good. And here's the mirror that Russ was talking about. I just put a clip on kitty corner. And when you take your part off, like for instance, this vase that's sitting there, if you remove your plate, once you got it level, if you remove your plate and you don't bang it when it's on this bed, I guarantee you, you'll only have to level your bed maybe twice or 3 times a year. It's when you take a spatula and you pound on the bed to get the part off, is when you have to you're gonna knock the bed out of leveling. But then on this one, on all my printers, I'll turn it sideways a little bit. I have auto shut off, so when the part is finished, in the G code I write a program. This switch right here, it'll be on with the switch, and then I have it come forward and turn off.
Cool.
And then I don't have to watch my printers. I can let them run through the night, and they turn off after the print. But it's a nice little machine. It's one of the easiest out of the box that works really well.
Yes, and like I said, it actually has if you'll go online and read about it, it has some of the highest ratings that are out there as far as in its category and for the price you have to pay. So
I've got some really good news on it too. It is now for sale on the Creality website for $150.99.
no way.
kidding.
Yes, and I'm gonna post the URL here in the
Grab
in
one,
the chat.
please.
I guess it'll let me. No,
For
too much.
$150? Yeah, really. I might have to
Yeah,
buy another one just to keep it in the box in
$150.99.
case this one breaks.
Go to the
I've got one
Creality.
under the desk. Yeah.
Go to
What did you
Creality
say?
3D
That was
shop.
a swear word. Break.
But yes. So I don't know if y'all heard Al correct or not, but
You know,
he's saying on the Creality site, the Ender 3s are running for $159 right now. So
I'm assuming that that's the Creality shop. Says Creality 3D.shop. I'm wondering if that's actually Creality's website.
yeah, or it might be a spam website.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah,
They're only
there's-
$30 on that
something-
spam website.
make
Yeah,
sure.
there's something wrong. There's something wrong at that price.
Yeah.
There's something wrong.
All right. Nix that. Time out. Nix that. Just in case. Let him do some research on that real quick.
Yeah.
Leonard Davis has,
I just saw it at the same time. You would go ahead and ask it.
Leonard Davis has a question. He wants to know if the 3D printer takes and it has to have an exhaust.
No.
No.
Now the resin ones, you might. The resin.
Yeah,
ones are
if you
kinda
were to
stinky
if you
from
were to
what I
buy
hear.
the resin ones, they're a different species. They don't deal with these rolls of filament. The
Yeah.
resin ones actually the plastic or the resin is in a liquid form. So totally different species is what we're talking about. So, but the Ender 3 with this 3D filament right here, no. My wife, when I first put the Delta together, the Flusen, and I had put it together on the dining room table, and I ran a few prints of it with it on the dining room table, and my wife said she could smell it. But I don't know if she was smelling the filament or if she was actually smelling the printer that was brand new. You know how sometimes you can buy a new TV or a new electronic device and fire it off, and it's got that smell for a little while when it, like it's kind of burning it in, or however you want to put it. So,
Maybe
but
it was me. I had gas when I was over there the other day.
On Amazon, they got,
I mean, it might put off a little odor whenever this stuff is melting, but no, you do not have to have an exhaust fan. I
on
mean, it's running over
Amazon,
there, right?
Russ, on Amazon, they have a Creality Ender 3 Pro for $236.
$236. Okay.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
the
a
website
Pro. That's
the
a little
website I
different.
went to is not their website, so be careful where you go.
Yes.
Okay. Well, nix that. Don't make sure you go to the actual Creality
Yeah, I
website.
never did print it. I never did put the link out there.
All right. Good.
Yeah, the PLA, if you go right next to the machine, you can smell it, but you got to remember the PLA is made out of corn. So I don't suggest you sit and chew on it and eat it, but it's made from corn. So it's
Give me
not real
corn.
bad for
Give
you.
me corn.
Jeff Walsman. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Walsma. WALSMA. Jeff Walsma is over on Facebook. Hi, Jeff. He says he's from Geneva, Illinois. We're glad to have you over there on Facebook. You're right good where you're at. We can see you, and anything that you type in there, I can respond back to it. He wants to know how do you join the guys on here. Well, if you're talking about in the chat, you are in the chat, so we can see you. And he says, I'm big into tree species. Well, I am too, but sometimes you just got to branch out a little bit and try other things.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, it's like sometimes you just got to, I've always been kind of geekish my entire life. I've always messed around with it since computers came out. I remember I used to have an Atari computer when they first came out. You remember those Atari computers?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You used to play that game when it says you say walk, you type in walk, and then you say look, and it would tell you what it sees, and you had to go through this whole thing to find the treasure or whatever. You know, go to Lagoon, and you would go to, and this was
Yes.
all you had to imagine what it looked like. It was all just typed in stuff. But yes, I had an Atari computer, and I just progressed throughout the years as far as with computers. So it was a natural transformation. First, I got the CNC, which the wood CNC, which was for engraving and stuff. I wouldn't suggest you buy the one that I got because it's a piece of crap. But I started off with that, and that kind of like set me on fire as far as doing things. The next thing I bought was the 3D printer, and I enjoyed playing around with that. I had some problems with it, but I was hard-headed and wouldn't listen to people when they told me what to do. And so I've got that pretty well done right now. It's working great. And so the next thing I bought was a laser. I enjoy that little laser and engraving stuff. I engrave the fire out of stuff. I mean, I've made so much stuff. I made plaques and house signs. I've made some stuff for my one son-in-law with his name, his last name Helms on it, and with a deer head and everything. He's really big into hunting. So it just goes on and on and on. And I know what you're saying. You're into the tree species because that's where I started off. And I'm never going to give up my scroll saw and my other stuff because I enjoy. I mean, when I do some of this laser cutting stuff, it needs frames put around it, especially if you like laser the backside of a mirror. It needs a frame put around it. So I make the frames out of the wood. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all maker stuff. Whatever you like doing.
Yeah, it's actually fun to branch out and use your brain on other things, because I'm going to tell you, the CNC, the laser, and the 3D printer, it's a whole different world as to measuring a board and cutting a 45 on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you really have to use a lot of brain power up here to think and work out some of the things.
Aussie Man has a question about making gears. Sure, and I use my resin printer because it's so accurate. Here's a small gear. So you can make any. I got real tiny gears about the same size as that center hole, and I actually sold to a customer, and they work good. But this stuff is you can get softer materials with the resin printer, and you can get harder ones. This is more of a harder material, so you have to use a lot of grease so it doesn't chip.
Right. I think it would run your. Well, now, these printers will print more than just PLA. ABS. What's ABS?
Yes, ABS is a higher temperature material. It's stronger, and it actually flexes a little more than PLA. And then you got PET G, and that'll handle a higher temperature than PLA, and that's even it has more wear capabilities, and it looks like glass when you print some of it.
Yeah, I've got a roll of PET G. Matter of fact, I ordered it by accident, and I printed some stuff with it. Matter of fact,
by the way, I'm back to $150.
This little Flexi Gator is made out of PET G. I ordered the roll by accident, but I called Dixon and said, "Hey, what do I do with this crap?" And he said, "Set the temperature at 250 in the bed at like 70 or something."
Yes, higher than the
and
PLA.
it printed out. I mean, perfectly.
Now, when you print that high, Dixon, do you have to like put a box over it or something to hold the heat in?
Not with PET G. PET G, you print that like PLA. You'll print at 210 and 60 on the bed, 210 on the nozzle. PET G, you'll print around 230 and 70 on the bed, And then ABS, you're going to print at 250 to 260 with 70 on the bed. And that you want to have a cover over your printer, because when it cools down, it extracts that so much it can actually warp so bad. So it has to cool down real slow. But that's why you can take PET G and stick it inside your car where it's hot and it will flex and melt. Or ABS, I mean.
What's the downside with PET G?
PET G I like a lot. There's no downside. There's
You
really,
just have to print it hotter.
yeah, you print it hotter with PET G, and the cool thing is you don't need a cover when it cools down. This here is a piece of PET G, and you look how thin it is.
Now, what isn't there one of them that isn't there one of them that after you print it you have to heat treat it, or you have to put it someplace to heat it up to set it?
Isn't
No.
that the metal stuff?
No, you don't have to, but you can actually heat treat PLA where it gets harder. You can
Okay.
actually, it's very difficult, but you can do it where it
But
actually gets harder.
PET G prints just as nice as PLA if you raise the temperature a little bit.
Yes, it does, and it gets more. You can more like a glass too. You know what I'm saying? It's glassy material. Some of it.
Is that what your bullet was printed in?
No, this is PLA. I got this from a company and a sample roll, and I just decided to blow up a 50 caliber bullet and print it a little bigger. And here's a good example of a mirror. You look at the bottom. That was held on, stuck on my bed, and it's printed that tall, and it never moved.
Mirrors rock.
Yeah, look how smooth it is. You know, that thing is smooth.
The main problem I'm running into mine is I can't get a real smooth finish on the top or the bottom. You can always see the layers. I don't think you can see it here, but you can. I can't get it to where you can see it, but you can always see the layers on the top and on the bottom.
Yeah, your stitching, it's all in your software too. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, your bottom should always be a glass, smooth as
Yeah,
glass.
this isn't. You can, I wish I could get a better picture.
Right, it's tough to pick it up unless you put a flashlight on it, but your bottom should be like this. And if it's not like this, you look on one side, like maybe this side, and it wasn't like this, you can see the threads. That means you just go under your bed and tweak that side up a little.
I can see the threads all the way across it.
Yeah, your nozzle's not close enough. You're not taking your round circle. If you look at PLA sideways, a roll of it and a strand of it, you want it to squish half of that on your bed, and you're not squishing it enough on the bed. Your
So
nozzle
that means the nozzle's too high. The
Yes.
nozzle's too high.
Yes,
Okay.
you're actually better off cheating and squishing it too much than not enough.
Oh,
But you
okay.
want half that arc of the PLA. Like if this was a strand of PLA, you want that squished down so you only see half of the arc. Then you got it perfect, and you'll get a glass bottom on every piece all the way around.
Now, how do you get a glass finish on the top?
That PET G will be more like a glass finish on top, but PLA you really don't get a glass finish on top. But when you see the stitching, it looks like stitching. That's when you got it tuned in on PLA. I'd have to find a piece. I got all kinds of parts
Now,
here. But
on the, do you use the new Cura, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, the new Cura, and I tried that on 2 of my prints, and it worked very, very, very well for PLA, and that's called ironing. There's a setting in ironing that you find in Cura and turn ironing on, and that last level at the end, it does that ironing process and makes it really, really smooth. I tried it the other day on some PLA, and it worked great.
I'll give that a try.
Yeah, really, I don't think I've noticed that.
I just found out about it. I've been watching a lot of stuff on. I downloaded the new Cura, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on it, and that's one of the things that they stumbled across. If you want a smooth thing, a smooth top, that's use the ironing. It's on Cura. A couple little things real quick that I was able to do that. This Tinkercad is a program where you can create 3D objects for printing on your 3D printer. Now, it's a 3D world. It's totally different from anything that I've ever used or done before. I'm used to using Corel Draw, and I use it to make my scroll saw patterns and stuff. And I even got used to using Vectrix Aspire for the CNC. I started working with that and getting used to the Vectrix Aspire. But the 3D world's a little bit different, a little bit more involved. So on Tinkercad, and you can just go to in your web browser and type in Tinkercad, and it'll come up. You'll go to tinkercad.com, and boom, you're there. You just apply for it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But anyway, my wife's building a dollhouse, and she let the little darlings, grandkids, play with it a while back. Well, it had this thin PVC, thin plexiglass for the windows, but it had a printed window on it, so that when you put it in, it looked like a window frame, which looked cool. Well, the little darlings went through and poked just about every one of those windows out. So she was like, what am I going to do? So I went to the dollar store and bought a couple of 8x10 frames, which had thin plexiglass in the frame. You have to make sure it's the thin plexiglass. Come back and cut them out and glued them in position. And then I just 3D printed this window. And I just popped this right in front of them with a little glue. I use, what's the fast drying glue?
Super glue.
Yeah, super glue, P210 super glue. And just put some super glue on this and stick it to the plexiglass, and boom, she's got her little windows back again. And the little darlings ain't going to play with her dollhouse anymore. So that was one thing. And then she wanted a pool table. So I was actually able to design a pool table for her. See the little pockets in it? And
the pool table hold water?
Yeah. I bet you it will, as thick as it is. So I made the legs. I made the green part is actually PETG. And I usually don't, another thing, Dixon, the Flusen printer does not like PETG. I set it at the temperature that you said to set it at, and that Flusen would not print it. I don't know why. So I printed the green part here with the PETG on the Ender 3, and I printed the blue part, the legs, on the Flusen, and I just super glued the legs to it. So she's going to paint we did it green. The reason being is because the green felt on pool tables, and then she's going to paint the edges and the legs all brown. So
Sure. Yep, that'll be
but
nice.
I made her a little pool table. So.
You're gonna put green flocking on the pool table?
Huh?
You're gonna put green flocking on the pool table?
No, I ain't gonna put green flocking.
Just glue a piece of felt to it.
Recognize that? Actually, I think it's
It's on a shirt.
Yep.
Hey, when we were talking about the different types of filament, I put a link in the Zoom chat, and somebody with a wrench tossed that over in the YouTube chat area. Perhaps today.
And by the way, it is $155 for the Ender 3 on the official website.
No,
it is definitely $155.
Oh wow!
Here's a link for the filament comparison. Which I beat you, Brenda.
Right after I got the Flusen, this was the second thing I printed on it. This is PLA. It's the quality of the print is about the same as the Ender 3, but it's a lot faster. This took about 3 hours to print, and the Ender wanted a little over 4 hours. So it beat the Flusen, the Delta beat the Ender by a little over an hour. But this is about 5 inches tall. You can see the detail of the veins and stuff in it, and even the little thumbnail. Very, very detailed. I was really, really pleased with the second print. And I want to tell you that Flusen right out of the box, it auto bed levels. It will auto fill itself full of filament. I mean, you got to help it a little bit. You got to put it in there and feed it, but it'll auto load the filament. It'll auto unload the filament. The bed leveling right there off the bat to me is a plus. You know, it just goes through and bed levels itself. So once you get that set, I mean, that to me is a big plus. And I really like it. I'm enjoying playing around with stuff. Oh, I made I Triceratops.
Oh, a trike.
Yep. I even got a
Rex, T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Little blink.
To know if you can print with multiple colors on a project.
There are ways that you can do it, and they do have printers that will print with multi rolls. But now you're stepping up to a
Index printer.
Yeah, and you're talking about mucho gracias. I mean, mucho dinero.
Mucho dinero.
700-800 for index.
Thank you very much.
Mucho dinero. You're talking about a lot more money than $150 or $300. So,
I saw Patrick one time from Patrick's workshop made his nameplates, and he would print along in one color, and then when he knew it was going to switch to characters, he'd stop it and put a different colored filament in it.
Yes. I
think
watched
for
a
something
guy
like that you could do it, but
I watched a guy that
detailed.
actually he put a piece of it was on YouTube. He put a piece of the PTF tube, or whatever you want to call it, PTEF or whatever, on the. All right, he put it on the outside of the film or the extruder, not the extruder. Anyway, he put it on the outside, and what he did was, as the filament come down, he cut it, and as soon as that piece went into that PTF tube, he jammed the other one in there and started feeding it in. And I'll be if the extruder didn't pick it up and take it right on in, he changed colors that way.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
he did it like 3 different times. There you go.
Yeah, now this is different than all of them procedures. When I was experimenting 12 years ago, I took a can of Krylon spray paint and I sprayed a section of filament as it left it dry. I sprayed it fast enough, it dried fast enough, and it actually went through the extruder. I started with the Krylon maroon color, and then the blue, and then I had white PLA. So that's actually spray paint that went through the nozzle.
No,
That's cool.
Krylon spray paint.
Yep, and an airbrush, which is a can of Krylon. I call it an airbrush. You can color something in 30 seconds, rather than spending all that money with a can of paint.
Yeah. If you know how to use an airbrush, you can color whatever you want, and even feather the colors into one another with an airbrush.
Yeah, blend them.
So, Lady Frenzy Wicked Truth is out there on Twitch.
Hello,
And
Frenzy.
so is, I don't know who that is. RHFL3LCAZADORA.
I want to say it's a bot.
Okay. Anyway, he's over on Twitch. I have no idea how to pronounce that. And he says, I need my dad at Simply Wooden Creations to print me a dragon. So who is that?
Oh, that's not a bot if he's talking to you.
Yeah, it says, I need my dad at Simply Wooden Creations to print me a dragon. Okay.
It's never mind. I'm not going to say.
I think I know who it is. I think it's my daughter Brandy.
Okay. All right. Sounded kind of trollish to me.
No, yeah. I really think it's my daughter Brandy. So, because she said my dad. So I think she's Rick. Yes, it is Brandy.
Yes. She says yes. Whoa!
I tried to talk to you at Emma's birthday party the other day, Brandy, about printing you a dragon, and you kind of ignored me.
There you go, Brandy. You got burned.
Good job, Brenda. Good job.
when we were at Emma's birthday party, when you're talking about the dragon, I said, well, I got a 3D printer. I said, there's a possibility I could find a file for a dragon and print it. And you kind of like it. Oh, she goes, oh, I didn't hear you. My bad.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the best response.
I mentioned that the other day, though, at Emma's birthday party. Last Saturday or Sunday, my granddaughter Emma had her birthday party at the local game place, you know, where they have games and all kind of stuff. And yep.
She says sorry.
Yep. Now the biggest thing is, Brandy, I have to find a 3D file already made because I'm not good enough at this point to make a dragon as far as design a dragon 3D myself.
Russ, if you search for dragon on Thingiverse, you'll get 1 million hits.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's where I was going to look. I was going to look on Thingiverse. And that's another thing for y'all guys that are interested in getting into 3D printing. If you'll put Thingiverse up there, please, Mr. Al. There's a website called Thingiverse. And it is full, I mean slap full, not hundreds, thousands of 3D design files that people make and just post them there for free. They don't ask any money for it. I mean, you can tip the developer or the person. It says tip, and you can tip them through PayPal, but you don't have to. Thingiverse is on the internet, and that's where I go. Matter of fact, these praying hands, the alligator here that I made that's in orange, a Florida gator, the Triceratops, the T-Rex, all these files came from Thingiverse. So I didn't design them and make them. All I had to do is download the file off of Thingiverse. So that's a very good place. Even the lizard. Now he is pretty cool. I have to admit, he's pretty cool. He's an articulating lizard. So
yeah, there's another one out there.
Dixon's got some. Let me real quick go over to Dixon and go back to that other camera, Dixon, because I'm gonna put you on solo.
The picture was blurry, but I'll try it again. It wasn't showing up like it should. There's another one out there. It's called Cults too, but there's a brand new one. There's a brand new one out there, and it's called Things, and it's awesome. It's giving Thingiverse a run for its money.
It's called Things.
Things.
Just plain old thing.
Things. And they got spectacular prints on that website.
Now, this is stuff that you 3D. Now, is that 3D colors, or have you went in and colored it?
Nope, this is just colored with a brush and paint.
Colored with a brush.
And the reason why I got this out is something like this. It just goes to show the resolution. Here, let me get these out of the way. You have resin printers, but you can get great resolution with FDM printers.
Yeah, that
it's
is
a
pretty good.
Shop, and they got the tools inside. It's tough to see on this photo, but don't focus in. I think I'm too close.
No, it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks real good. In all sincerity, it's doing real good.
What scale is that? Do you know?
I think it's 1/6.
Wow.
Yeah. I cut it in half from what the original one was, but there's a picture. I'll get it. There's a picture of an Ender 5 right there. If you want a workhorse that's totally square, will never go out of squares. That Ender 5 there on the floor because it's box shape. That's a workhorse.
Now
So
that's
why
the
won't
new.
it ever
Is
go
that
out?
the new Ender 5? The new.
No, that's one of the first ones they came out with.
Okay.
We got so many models. That's like this Ender 3 that you're looking at that you have, Russ, and I have. Well, they're totally different now. You can buy the older ones yet, but see if you can hear me. Can you
Yeah, we
still
can
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this Ender 3, this Ender 5, I'll get it up here. What I like about this Ender 5 is it's still a XY cable because they have a rod. It shoots across with 2 belts, and they have a rod in the back because I don't like those Core XY machines. But this thing is very accurate, stable because it's a square box. It's so solid. You could stand on this printer, and it won't affect it.
Wow. That's nice.
Thanks.
So that's
Yeah,
like their first model.
This
Kinda
is
confused.
well, they improved on all their printers. You know, they changed, like Ender 3 changed like 4 or 5 times already.
Yeah.
They keep changing them, and this is their Ender 5. Now they got the big Ender. They have an Ender 5 that's huge. It's twice this size.
Wow.
Yeah, just like the Ender 3, they've got an Ender 3 Pro and various
Yeah.
different submodels.
Yeah.
Yes, and the technology is so much. I mean, it's quieter, I should say, not better, because you can get excellent results with these printers, and you know, these are just the first versions.
My Ender 3 is still in the box under my desk.
You didn't have
It's going to
time.
be so obsolete by the time I open it up and find room to put it up. It's, you know.
My daughter Brandy said she wants the dragon blue to match her gaming desk theme.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. I Rescue Mini Pins is over there on Twitch. Good
Hello,
to have you
Sid.
here.
Howdy, Sid.
Yep, Leonard Davis is still with us. So, it's totally different than anything that I have ever done as far as the 3D stuff. Like I said, I got into somewhat 3D stuff whenever I started using Aspire for my CNC. Now, Aspire is kind of 3-dimensional stuff in some ways because you can carve wood, but you can only carve it on one side. So it's really a 2D world, not a totally 3D world. So, but you can, it is true 2D because you can get depth and height and, you know, all that kind of stuff with a CNC, but it's not a 3D world. Everybody calls it, I made this 3-dimensional, and it's not really 3-dimensional. It's only 2-dimensional. The third dimension is, yeah. So, but I hear people say that about their CNC, and I'm sitting there laughing, going like, yeah, it ain't 3D, not really. So, but I learned, that's when I started learning about the 3D world. And then when I bought the Ender, I really started going into the 3D world. It's totally different. Jim put up something a minute ago and said with Tinkercad and Thingiverse, yeah. I mean, you can make and do anything you want. Now, I will tell you this much. You can bring files out of Thingiverse over into Tinkercad, but it'll only take so big a file. That's the downfall of Tinkercad. You need Fusion. You need to really, Russ Meadows put 2.5D. Yeah, that's right, Russ.
Exactly.
Yeah, 2.5D. It ain't quite that third dimension yet. That's a good way of putting it, Russ Meadows. That is a good way of putting it. So, but it won't take but such a big file. That's the reason I want to learn Fusion 360, but I'm taking baby steps because let me tell you, it can be overwhelming, trust me, to learn how to do that.
They've cut a lot of stuff out of Fusion 360 for the like hobbyist version of it. So it's kind of 6 or half dozen of the other. It's if you need something that's that powerful, you don't have many options. But Tinkercad can do a lot of stuff if you can get used to shifting planes and using the ruler on Tinkercad.
Right.
To offset things exactly where you want it. It works really well. A lot of good YouTube videos on it too, on how to learn it.
That's how I've been learning, is watching the YouTube video. I mean, if you want to fix your car, go watch a YouTube video. I mean, they pretty well got anything out there. Guy's Woodcraft Shop says, can use a 3D printer to make sawdust.
Hey, does that mean you're going to change the song that, at the end of the show, instead of give me filament, give me filament.
Give me filament. Lots of filament all around me and everywhere. I like it sticking all around my top and even my beard and hair. Yeah.
And the hairspray in my beard and hair.
So I know Chris and Brenda don't have a 3D printer, and they've been kind of quiet tonight, just listening on. Y'all ever thought about getting into the 3D world?
I don't have any money.
Well, that is a downfall. Yes,
Yep.
not having any money.
I do not need yet another hobby.
Another hole, rabbit hole.
But you can make your own airplane parts, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it'd be 10 times as expensive as just buying the damn kit.
Well, just the first one is expensive. It's after
Yeah.
that they get cheaper progressively.
Exactly.
No, I'm good.
Like I'm down to probably $82 per thing I make on my 3D printer.
Right.
I'm still up over 2,000 on my CNC, but
Yeah, it's going to take a
considering
while.
I got a couple grand worth of kits sitting in a closet right now. I don't see me doing it. So,
Catch up with them.
yeah.
you're done.
Aussie Man said he saw a video on YouTube 3D printing edible food. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've
They
got
have that pancake maker too.
that actually makes pancakes.
Yes.
It's a griddle with an extruder, and you put the
Yeah, I've seen that.
the pancake juice, whatever that stuff is called,
Yeah.
and it makes what you want. Yeah.
yeah, now they
That's pretty
3D
cool.
print houses out of concrete.
Yeah.
Or
Hey, they've been doing that for a while.
engine blocks, guys. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
engine block
Engine blocks.
that's being printed with a 3D printer.
Yeah, I
They
saw.
have, the universities have 3D printers with 4 tubes. They almost look like syringes, and they're actually 3D printing organs, like a kidney on a beaker, and then they take it and they grow it, and it's actually working.
Yes.
And I'm thinking in 10 years they'll be able to take your cells out of your body, 3D print a kidney because it's your cells, and let it grow for 6 months in a container, a petri dish is what I was thinking, and it will not reject you if they had to do a transplant because,
Right,
it's your cells.
It's using your cells. Real
So that's
quick,
what
I
they're
wanted
working
to change back over my camera. It's getting close to getting done. I don't know if it's going to finish before we get off here tonight, but
Hey, Russ, while you're doing that, while we were trying to get my audio fixed before the show, the last RepRap, and RepRap is the 3D printing festival. I think they have one on the East Coast, one in the middle of the country, and one on the West Coast every year. But the one for us is by Elkhart, Indiana. But a guy had a Delta printer like yours that he made, but he made it out of like 2x4s and 4x4s and stuff like that. And he was printing rockets with it. And this thing was 20 feet tall.
wow,
He was printing 15-foot tall rockets with it.
holy crap.
It was so cool to see that.
I think it's going to be done before we get off. Well, I don't know. Yeah, if we could hang over for a few minutes, because see, if you look down here at the bottom of the machine, that there's a green bar, and that green bar has very little white left into it. So if we hang out here another 10 or 15 minutes, I think it will be done.
3 minutes.
Yeah, it ain't gonna take too much longer for it to be done. So I enjoy.
A Delta printer is real cool to watch if anybody wants a second printer. But here's the catch: is they're 20% faster, which is nice.
Yes, that's what I was saying. That praying hands I did when I ran it through Cura, it called for the Ender 3 over 4 hours, and the Fluson, the Delta printer, did it in less than 3 hours.
And you cheated, Russ. I'm going to call it. It's an FL Sun company. I have to call them because I think they sent you the wrong one, and you got to give that back.
Yeah.
Russ was supposed to get one like I have.
I don't know what the heck you're talking about, Dixon. I have no clue as to what the hell you're talking about.
They accidentally sent.
You better be quiet if you don't want to get thrown off the show, Dixon. Just warning you.
There's a question out in the chat. Mitch Illuminator wants to know, is 3D printing limited to CAD software, or can you also use 3D modeling software like Blender or SketchUp?
Yeah,
you can use Blender.
If you export out of Blender as an STL file, you can use the STL file to 3D print. Yes.
Blender has a huge learning curve.
Yes, it does.
Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember the software before Fusion 360? It was totally free, and it's called 123D, Autodesk 123D. And then they discontinued that and went to Fusion 360, and that's what I used. I used the 123D software.
Right. Before we go any further, to explain that. Okay, so yes, it will use Blender or SketchUp as long as the program can produce a .stl file.
Correct.
The .stl file is the 3D file that your slicer program needs to be able to turn the thing. All right, and you're going to say, what's a slicer program? All right, a slicer program takes that 3D file and actually slices it and turns it into a G code that your 3D printer can read, and uses that file to print what you're wanting to print. So you have to have a slicer program. There is Cura, there is Prusa. What's another one that's out there? There's one more. Cura, Prusa.
I use Idea Maker.
Idea Maker.
Yeah,
that's another one. So there's Cura is a free program. Prusa, I think you have to pay for Prusa, if I'm not mistaken.
That's open source and it's free, but Simplify 3D you got to pay for.
Yeah. So, but you take it into there, and then it actually, it's very simple. You bringing the STL file in there, and you tell it, there's a little button down there. You hit and say slice, and it does its little wham bam, thank you ma'am, real magic thing going on, and it produces a file that you download to an SD card, and I bring the SD card out here and stick it in the machine, and it reads it. So
if they're new to 3D printing, they got to think of it as it's not cutting something away like a CNC. It's actually printing the first layer, and it's growing.
Right.
It's printing upward, melting the plastic, and that's why we get such perfect resolution on some of these parts.
And that's what's called slicing. It actually slices that thing, that model, into layers, and you could end up with 3,000 layers in a model, But those are all layers because. And then Cura, you can tell it to preview, and you can pick a layer, and it'll actually, you can see the machine printing that individual layer. So it's actually pretty cool. So
you can isolate those first layers to make them a little thicker.
Yep, a little thicker and larger.
To make sure they stick well. Yeah.
David Roby, I don't know him. He's out there.
He's new.
Hey, David.
David apparently had some health problems, so he's...
Yeah, I'm reading that. He said he's been in the hospital for 2 years. Wow.
Well, ulcerative colitis.
I
think that's what he said. I saw that a second ago. I think that's who was saying that. Okay. No, it was David. It was David Roby that said he had ulcerative colitis.
Yeah, David Roby.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I'll remember you in my thoughts and prayers, David. That's a long time to be in the hospital. 2 years.
No kidding.
Said he'd be able to go home in a month.
So,
jeez.
3D printing is like fiber arts, building upon a foundation. Yes. But it does it in layers. It just it'll melt. It'll do one layer and melt, and then come back and put a layer on top of that. Come back and put a layer on top of that. And like I said, you could have 3,000 layers in a file. I'm trying to. This is one of the first things that I printed on my Ender 3D. This is called a Benchy. It's actually, I know, it's a little puppy. And when we're talking about layers, the reason I'm using this is because I might be able to show it where you can see it. But if you look, little puppy. If you look real close, you can see, there it is. See the layers on the filament? It looks like rings.
Yeah. Make your screen bigger, Russ. It'll be easier to see.
Mine doesn't have layers.
Well, that's because yours is better than mine.
No.
I was going to say layers. That's a swear word now. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It prints at 0.4 millimeters at a time. That's why they can do so many different objects and so accurate.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there's a good shot there.
Yep, that's a good shot. My hand
Yuppers.
missed. Yeah, see that? Those swirls are layer upon layer upon layer.
Looks like a big thumbprint.
Yep.
It does.
But you can see the layers
Yeah.
all the way down. This was the first thing I did on my Ender 3, so that's the reason it's not as good as it should. I was able after this to home in on it printing better. It was just, you can see across the eyes if I can get it to focus.
Yeah, mine's got some across the eyes, Russ.
Yeah. There you go. See it?
There you go. Yeah.
Oh no, not that.
Yep, that's what I'm
That
talking
looks
about.
like it's got a little under extrusion a little bit.
I wouldn't doubt it because that's, like I said, the first thing I did on my Ender. I didn't know how to set it up. I put it together and run a piece of paper underneath it and printed that, the very first thing.
That's a good first print, though.
Can you sand those down and get rid of those lines?
Yeah.
You can sand them and fill it. Yes. So I seen the guy the other day that printed something that was really very large, and it had a little blank spot where there wasn't any filament, and he used like regular wood putty, and
Bondo.
put in there and let it dry, and then come back and sanded it and painted it, and you couldn't even tell it was there. So
You can also use Bondo, like I think Jim was saying, the stuff to, not the Bondo itself, but the stuff to come back in and fill the pinholes and stuff. You can use that.
Is it glazing putty? Is that what it's called?
I
Glazing
think it's
putty?
called something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want it to get glass smooth, like a totally glass all around it, you stick it you hang it with a piece of wire in a jar of acetate, and you leave it in there only like 2 or 3 minutes, and you got to check it, and then you pull it out, and it'll be shiny and glass on it.
I thought that only worked with. I thought that only worked with ABS.
Yes, it works with ABS. Yes, you're right. You're right.
But it doesn't work with PLA.
No, I got mixed up. You have to the PLA. You have to heat up to make it smoother around the outside.
You must have a virus.
Yes.
You must have a virus. That's probably why. You said
I got a virus.
you got a virus.
Mitchell Loomknitter
cool.
says you've got the newest COVID mutation there.
Yeah.
So be careful with it.
You're right. He does.
It hasn't quite finished yet. If we want to hang on for a few more minutes, it's still printing away over there. But
Hey,
it's
just a moment.
Do what?
Out in the chat, I put a list of slicers that are out there.
Okay.
And also, too, the different STL sites. There's a bunch of different STL sites. I mean, tons of them, where you can download free STLs, and some a little bit. You pay a little bit, but it depends.
Dan Inge wants to know: is there a filament that will remain flexible?
Petchy?
Yes,
G.
your pet G has a little flex in it depending how long the piece is. Excuse me. But if you want something a little flexible, you can print in nylon. It's very difficult, but you can print in nylon and you'll be able to flex it a little bit, but you will not break it, and you can pound on it with a hammer and it will not break. That's what's
There
neat
you
about
go.
nylon.
So
but
yes,
it's very
printing
difficult.
temperatures. Dixon, what are
High
the
Rescue
printing-
Menu Pen said super glue vapor smoothing. Put glue on a tiny tin with flame under it and put a piece in a container with glue.
Woo!
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of melts the outside down and smooths it out.
Yeah.
Acetone, I think, does that too for some of the filaments.
Or
Yes.
The
Yeah.
guy from 3D Printing Nerd, Joel, he when he was at one of these RepRap festivals, I think it was on the West Coast, there was a company there that was making shoes and sandals, 3D printing them, and they 3D printed him a pair of shoes while he was out there. And they were nice and soft, and they were like Crocs kind of thing.
Yes, that's TPU. I have a couple vases
TPU.
over there that are TPU, and they're like rubbery. Just nice soft rubber material.
That's right up Russ's, I would say alley, but his feet.
Oh, Leonard Davis says take a torch and melt it together. Yeah. I did see somebody the other day on that was using, he had printed two pieces because that's the only way he could do it. And then he took filament and was using a soldering iron and actually used the filament like soldering and stuck the two pieces back together with the filament on the inside.
Well, you can buy a pen.
It works.
Yeah.
You
I
can buy a
can't.
pen
Everybody's
that
talking
uses
at
filament.
Do what?
You can buy a pen that uses filament, and it melts it down, and you can.
Well, he actually used a
that's cool.
soldering like what you would use to solder electronics and stuff.
Yep,
And he
I've
took
done
the
it.
filament and fed the filament in and welded those two pieces back to get together. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't know you could do that. I'll sit there and watch the video. And I was like, I was impressed.
Make a nice ripple. It'll show a nice ripple just like welding
Yep.
with a solder iron.
He stuck the two pieces back together with that. So I was like, wow, I was impressed. Yeah, I know, Paul, they make a 3D pen, but I've seen videos and I saw a review on it, and it's a hunk of junk. Yeah. I watched the
Aussie Man wants to know, where are your 3D printed bass lures?
I haven't made them yet. I have thought about it though. I've looked on Thingiverse to see if there was some, and there are a couple on there, lures on there. So, okay,
I looked up this
it's actually
TPU.
finished over there. So I'm giving it a few minutes to kind of cool down. Let me go stick the fan on it real quick.
While he's doing that, I looked up this TPU filament. If you all want to make some shoes, it's only like $5 a roll more than just regular PLA.
Does it say what the temperatures are?
I'm looking at that now, and no, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I might order a roll and try it. My Crocs are almost worn out.
That's TPU, Dixon?
Yes.
What are the temperatures for that? Do you remember offhand?
It's pretty close to PLA.
Is it?
Here's the catch. It's PLA. Yeah, now that you said it is. 210 and 60 is what I did this at. But here's the catch. For this to run through this kind of extruder, a Bowden tube, you can only run it at a speed of 40%.
Really?
Because it has to run real slow, because otherwise it wrinkles up on the end. And this is Ninja Flex.
Hey,
I've got a question
that looks
for
like
y'all.
a drive roller.
I got a question.
RC wheel.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, tarp.
Oh, that's pretty
tire
cool.
for a car.
I got a question for y'all that have been in this longer than I have. When the printer finishes, is it good to let it sit there and cool down, or can you just flip it off?
I let mine cool down a little bit.
Yeah, I let the fans cool mine off too.
They all say you're supposed to let it cool down because you could get heat creep up in the nozzle right here because it doesn't cool down with the fan. So they're worried about getting, let me pull the fan off of this. They're worried about getting heat creep crawling up here and getting up here and plugging it up. But every one of my printers for the last 7 years have an auto shut-off switch, and I never had heat creep. So I shut them off with the switch. As soon as they're done printing, the machine goes up to the top like this Delta. Here's the switch, and it flips it. It goes up to the top at the end and flips it off, so it never gets a chance to cool down. And I never had a clog yet.
Well, you see, that's what I was wondering, if it would cool down on its own or not. So
It will. You can turn it right off if you want.
Everything I read, most people said, yeah, you're supposed to let it cool down. But a couple of times when I got ticked off at the prints, I'd just flip it off, and I never had a problem with it.
You mean you physically flipped it off?
Yeah, I flipped it off.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
When I come in and it was messing up, rather than shutting things down, I just flipped the power switch off and just said,
Sure. Sure, and it did plug up on you. That new Delta you have, that has auto power off resume.
Yes,
So if it runs out, it'll sit there and wait, and you can put a new roll on and it starts right back
you
up.
can add filament, or you can, if the power goes out and it comes back on, it'll sit there and wait for you to restart it, resume.
Yep.
All right, so it's finished. I'm going to show you. I use a pretty cool little trick to get.
You bend the glass? You pull it off and bend the glass?
No, you can't take that bed off of that one. But I'll show you a pretty cool little trick that I use.
You spray it with a CO2 fire extinguisher.
There you go.
Not quite.
Russell's coming there.
He gets his hammer and chisel out. Yes. What did I tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not a chisel, but.
Oh, there it is.
Poppy.
Give me hammer. Just a hammer. Oh, I need a chisel too. It's an alligator.
That's how I remove it. What I did was the spatula that came with the ender, the edge of it had the end of it had a bevel on it, but this one that came with the Flusen or Felsen, however you want to say it, did not have. It was blunt. It did not have an edge on it, and I was like, I don't like that. So I actually took this to the grinder and put a bevel on it. So it's actually pretty doggone sharp down here, like a knife. And then also discovered if you take this and put it on there and then take this little hammer and just lightly tap the thing, it will pop off. I've done this on all my prints and it works perfectly. So you don't have to sit there and bang and gouge or anything. Just a gentle little tap, especially since this thing has the bevel on it, and it'll slide right underneath it and break it loose every time. Doesn't scratch the bed. It's perfect every time. So that's what I printed, was this little alligator. Came out pretty good. There's some pretty good detail in that.
Yes, sweet.
It's got eyes and teeth.
Yep. Got eyes, teeth.
You got to make one for all the grandkids now.
Yep, he's got some gator hide on the back.
Ooh,
gator hide.
Yeah,
I got some Gatorade in the refrigerator.
Do you?
He's got his itsy bitsy little legs. What I think is amazing is that it prints this thing right off the bed, articulating. That's always amazed me.
That is
like
cool.
This.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Like now this one happens to be Jim's. This is the one that Jim sent me. This one happens to be the one that he made. But
I gave it to you, Russ. It's yours now.
Well, I know, but it's amazing. It's amazing how the legs come off of that printer articulating like that. It is absolutely amazing. So
The nuts and bolts are really cool too. You ever tried to print one of those yet?
yes, I did, and I was successful.
That was my
in printing
fidget.
one.
Yeah, that was my fidget spinner. I have those things in
What do you got, Dixon?
front and back.
Actually,
Well,
Oh, Dixon's got a toy.
one of the
Oh,
claws
there you
are
go.
broken off. The grandkids broke this
Gearhead.
claw, but this was printed in one shot.
Wow.
Yes,
Chris Nealon wanted to
about-
know how long it took you to print that.
your nuts and bolts. I made this as a camera mount, so it has
Yep,
the
nice.
threads on it, and then you tighten this down, and then when you get it so tight, this no longer wants to move, and it holds the camera in position.
So quarter 20 threads for a standard camera mount.
I don't know. I found it on Thingiverse.
I
So
was going to say maybe it wouldn't do quarter 20 because it's a Chinese built.
It looks like 8 millimeters to me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it'll do 8mm. That's right.
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, that's
All
one
right.
thing. One tip I want to let you know, Russ. Maybe you know this, but you know the big catalog McMaster car that has thousands of products in it.
yes.
You can go there, and you know how huge that catalog, and download any one of those files. I did a quarter 20 and a 3/8 bolts, and you can 3D print it. Just download it and print it.
Wow.
So
Yep.
if you want to
And
do
their
miniature
gears.
street lights or anything, you take that actual light that they sell on McMaster car, any one of them files, you bring it in as a step file, and then you bring it in your CAD and export it as a STL and print it.
Well, I'll be
Yep.
pretty cool.
And they have all the
Did not know
gears
that.
and stuff on there too.
Sure, they got what, 300,000 parts.
Yep.
So anything.
Well,
you
guys, we're gonna call it a night. It's 9:22, so we're gonna call it a night. Thank you though, but yeah, I mean, I would say especially since you get one for 100. I'm actually thinking about going online and buying one for 159, even though I don't need it, and just have it in a box in case anything ever happens.
Kind of
So-
like Jim.
Like me.
So, yeah,
I just don't have space for them.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing. Space. Clean
yeah,
space.
space.
I don't have
Well,
a
I
place
got
to
that
keep
big
clean.
laser coming in. That thing, it weighs almost 500 pounds, and it's got a 35 by 24 bed laser. I mean, working bed. So you can imagine how big it is.
Is that like that one Tim Sway has?
I don't know which one he has. I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
it's going to be similar in size to that,
Yeah,
but you'll have the chiller for it,
Yeah.
so that'll take a little space. Not a lot,
Yep.
but
but yeah, I got the
You'll
big
love
boy, and 80 watt. It should slice through 1/8 and 1/4 inch plywood without any problem.
and your retinas, yeah, it'll go.
And
right
your
through the
retinas,
too.
yep.
Yeah.
And your retinas. So, yep. So I watched. I'm a member of some of the laser groups, the Auteur, however you want to say it, Auteur. The model,
Auteur.
they're actually page, and this guy says, "I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't even think about it." And I was sitting there watching the laser for like 15 minutes, and now I got red dots in my eyes, and I can't get rid
Oh
of them.
God,
Oh,
that
that's
poor
not
guy.
too smart.
Yeah, and I'm like, and he seemed to be truthful in what he was saying. He said that his wife has already told him he need to go to the ER and everything. So he seemed to be truthful. So yeah, you
Yeah.
cannot sit there and watch those things without glasses. And even with glasses, I don't watch it. I look at it to make sure it's doing what it's doing and walk away. So,
Yep.
But you have to have special. And the one thing I learned about the laser is every laser puts out a different type of a wavelength or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
So you have to make sure that the glasses are specifically for that particular wavelength of that laser. Otherwise, they're useless.
Yep.
So that's another thing you have to do. But anyway,
Well, they might look
I-
cool. So-
yeah, they look cool. Thank you out there for iRescue Mini Pins, Aussie Man, Bill. I hope you have a great day. Actually, yeah, it's going to be your day because I'm going to sleep. It's your day. So hope you have yeah. Bill's in Australia, so as I'm going to sleep at night, he's starting his day. So Yeah, he even said we're just getting started. So, Frenzy Wicked Truth.
Frenzy!
James Parker, he already said he had to go. He hoped that we all had a wonderful Sunday. Chris Nealon, Mitchell Loom Knitter has been out there. I appreciate you being out there. Leonard Davis, Dan Inge, Russ Meadows, all those people have been out there in the chat. And I appreciate y'all being out there so very, very much. Thank you, Brenda, for being on here. I know you're probably bored, but thank you for being here anyway.
Nah, Brenda's not bored.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. So he was probably bored too, but hey, how's your net working on your door?
No mosquitoes in here. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
He put a screen net across his garage door and to keep the mosquito here. I'll enlarge you for a second so you can.
yep.
Chris, how does the car come in?
Oh,
It doesn't.
Oh,
The cars live outdoors.
And so that is keeping the mosquitoes out.
Yep.
cool.
Nice.
Living the dream.
Cool.
Just living the dream.
Yep.
Hey,
So
Russ, while we're bailing out here, somebody a while back ago asked if you could put everybody's YouTube links in the show notes.
yes, I can do that. I used to do that. It's just I got lazy and quit doing it.
Oh my God.
I'll admit it. I used to put everybody's information in there in the show notes, but I was like, why don't y'all just go to the video and type in your YouTube channel? That would save me work. You just put a little comment there and put your YouTube channel in it.
Probably won't let it go through. I think it goes to spam file if you do that.
Oh, okay. Well,
They got
then
this
I
cut and paste thing going on now too.
will put all of them in there. It'll cost me work and I'll have to do it, but I'll struggle through it.
Aussie wants a 3D printer shop confession.
A 3D printer confession. I'll tell you one. Right off the bat. Don't reach up and grab that little piece of filament that's hanging down underneath the nozzle.
Oh, I've never done that. Oh no.
Well, because it what is it? 210 degrees Celsius is actually about 450 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's hot. It's hot.
Yeah. So it will actually leave a little shiny spot on your finger.
Yeah. After a while, though, it kind of calluses over.
Calluses over? I bet it
Yeah,
does.
you don't even feel it anymore.
You know, when that you see it coming down and it's going to print, and you know that little piece don't need to be there, so you just reach out and grab a hold of it. You'll only do it like once, then you'll realize that 450 degrees burns like hell.
I just reach up and go like this.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't thinking. I just reached up and grabbed a hold of it. So.
I swipe like this.
Yeah. If you were to flick, it probably wouldn't burn you. But I didn't flick. I grabbed it like this.
Yeah.
Before the print starts, I push the filament so that it makes like a string coming out of the bottom, and then I flip that string off, and then
imagine having your oven on at 450 degrees and reaching in there and grabbing the pan. That's what it felt like.
I accidentally sprayed my hand to the bed when it was on with the hairspray. No.
So anyway, there is your woodshop confession, 3D woodshop confession. So yes,
very good.
So, but anyway, we're going to get out of here. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dixon. I appreciate it. We got a really great group, a really knowledgeable group. Everyone here contributes. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And there's only one thing we got left to do, and that is if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust or make a 3D print or actually put something on the laser, you're worthless and you're too darn busy. Dang it, Russ. You're too darn busy. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it so very much, and God bless.
Chris?
Remember, you don't have to go home. but you can't stay here.
What
Nope.
he said.
Gotta leave.
What he said.
Out the door.
See,
Out the door.
there's the door. I'll even move the screen
See
for
ya.
you.